All right, Harry. Today we're in chapter 2 of Matthew, right? And it talks about the wise men that came to find Jesus. But maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit better for us.
Yeah, they're also known as the magi, which were they were people that studied the sky, astronomy, and all that entailed. And of course, that's what made them curious. They found a star. So, how many wise men were there?
Well, church history tells us that there was three because of the fact that there was three gifts, right, that were presented to Jesus when they found him. But there could have been more. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's right. We don't really know, but likely a few more, but that's okay. So, where did they come from?
They came from the east, the scripture says here. Yeah.
Yeah, and were they pagans or Jews, you think?
They were probably Jewish people, but how did that work? Because Jewish people living to the east, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but see, back 500 years earlier, before this, Judea was carried off to Babylon by Nebuchadnezzar, and they stayed there for 70 some odd years, and then they were invited to come back again when the Medes and Persians took over. But half of them, I'm guessing, didn't return. Many, many did not return. Um, so why had they come?
They came to see Jesus, right? The king has been
Well,
born to them.
yeah, they said there was a king because they saw a star, a special star in the west. So how far did they come? So they how far would that be? And it was Babylon was 500 miles as a crow flies, but it doesn't work that way. They had to come and follow the Euphrates River to the north, and then go down along the Mediterranean. So it's about 1,000 mile journey. They followed the path of Abraham. Abram left Ur of the Chaldees and he moved north to Haran, and then later on he moved down to the Israel area. And so it was arcing to the north and so on. Anyways, the wise men, they were likely government sponsored, I'm guessing, because there'd be astrologer type people working with the government and so on. So they likely got sponsored and got security, and they would travel in style by camel and so on. If they traveled 50 to 100 miles a day, maybe 2 weeks, it could have been 3 weeks, how it would go, but it's quite a journey. So when they came to Jerusalem, they had followed the star. So how often does Jerusalem get Babylonian astrologers?
I don't think there would have been a time before. That's a long journey, like you said, 1,000 miles, right? So they're not.
Yeah,
Nobody's traveling that often just because they saw a star in the sky. That's for sure.
yeah. Can you read verse 3 to 5, please?
Yeah, for sure. It says, when Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. Gathering together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. They said to him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for this is what has been written by the prophet.
Yeah. So even wicked King Herod, he was an old man now, he knew there would be a Messiah. He was kind of half Jewish. Their family had been forced to become Jews. So he was familiar with that. So did the priest answer his question? Did they know where Jesus be born?
Yeah, just example in the next verse 6, right? The first line it says, and you, Bethlehem, land of Judah. So they knew, they understood exactly the prophecy that was going to happen.
Yeah, so Micah had prophesied that 700 years earlier. So off to Bethlehem they go. So how old was Jesus now?
I would say around 6 months. Is that fair?
Yeah, 3 to 6, my guess. I don't know. It would take a few weeks to come, but it would take a while to get ready to study the sky and to make arrangements and check your books and all those things. And they would have had that sort of information. So, was when they went. So Jesus was it still in Bethlehem? Was he still living in a barn?
No, he wasn't in the barn at this point. The manger story has been surpassed by this point, and they're living in a
Yeah,
house at this point, correct?
yeah. So they went and worshiped the baby Jesus. They gave him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. They had traveled 1,000 dangerous miles to find Jesus. God placed a star in the sky to honor his son and to guide these eager people to find their king. I do believe that they were Jews, and hopefully we'll meet them in heaven. Jerusalem to Bethlehem is 5 miles. How many of the priests and Levites made that trip once they knew about the star?
Yeah, that's interesting, right? We see these other people, they traveled 1,000 miles, these wise men to get there, but the scribes and the priests just around the corner, they didn't take the time to go see Jesus.
Yeah, they were too busy, or we're going to do it later. And then when Herod killed the babies, they says, well, he likely killed them anyway. And so it's interesting how far, but so the question is that how far will we go to meet him? The wise men went for 1,000 miles. The religious elite didn't want to go 5 miles,
Yeah.
we all have to choose to find Jesus. And yeah, that's
Up to us, right? And that's a good point. What are we willing to do? Are we willing to give up everything for the love of Christ in us? But that's a good thing to ponder as we end this video for now. So I appreciate that, Harry. Thank you.
thank you.